What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you, but this will be yet another look at the zero wide receiver draft strategy for this upcoming 2022 season. Our setup, we're going to be doing this on Fantasy Pros with a 12-team full PPR format. We're going to be picking first overall our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. But that's pretty much it. So let's get right into it. And while we wait, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments section, your thoughts, along with what you think of these strategies in general, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to get yourself a copy of the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Has everything you can want at a great price. Top 150 overall player ranking in standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. Details in the description. But with that being said, let's get into it. And like I mentioned before, this is going to be a 12-team full PPR setup, and we have the first pick overall, and I purposely did it that way because I wanted to see kind of the extreme of the, zero wide receiver draft strategy, because I think this is going to be putting us in a situation where, in terms of wide receiver talent, the pool is going to have shrunken a decent amount. And we're probably going to go with running backs in the first 4 rounds. So it's going to be really intriguing. Our back's going to be up against the wall, but that's why we do this. And even though it's our second time around, it's been some time since we've done this before. So things always change. That's why I find it interesting. But enough of that. Let's go to our first pick. And here, I've said it before, it's between Taylor, it's between McCaffrey. Normally, I'd probably go McCaffrey. And I think you can make the case that since we're going zero wide receiver and we're going to be adding a bunch of running back depth, that, McCaffrey makes a little bit more sense because theoretically, you're going to have more running back depth to back up a potential McCaffrey injury. And if McCaffrey and Taylor both play a full season, the upside for McCaffrey is larger since it's full PPR scoring. So, end of the story, we're going Christian McCaffrey here. And let's see what's available to us in this second and third round. Now, as always, what I'm going to do here with these, draft strategies is I'm going to kind of dive into what I would have done otherwise if we weren't going with a set strategy. And I'll point out if I see anything crazy with these first couple of picks. So, we have 4 pass catchers go in the first round. I think that's a little bit excessive. We see Javonte Williams as a first-round pick. That's ludicrous, considering he's essentially in a running back by committee. Alvin Kamara, first pick in the second round. It'll be interesting to see what happens if he's suspended. Then we see Swift, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley. Barkley now a mid-second round selection. I wouldn't be shocked if he's going in the early second round when it's all said and done. I've said it before, his ADP will rise. CeeDee Lamb then, Mark Andrews, Nick Chubb, Deebo Samuel, Aaron Jones, and Ezekiel Elliott. Man, so I was really hoping Aaron Jones would fall to us or Ezekiel Elliott, but Zeke goes in the end of the second round too. So what does that mean? Well, instead we get a guy like Leonard Fournette here. So I guess I'm happy with that. Out of all these options, I'd rather take a chance on him than, some of these other guys. So let's go with Leonard Fournette first. And then what we do afterwards is going to be the really intriguing thing. Now, if this was, me kind of doing my own thing and just going best player available, not going with a set strategy, honestly, I don't necessarily love any of these running backs that were left on the board. I probably would have just gone Mike Evans and then Keenan Allen to just get some really good wide receiver talent, and then hope a guy like Travis Etienne falls to me in the 4th round. So now instead what we're going to do, since we can't go wide receiver, is go upside. And I'm looking at Etienne. He is very, very tempting. But maybe I take a gamble and see if he falls to us in the 4th round. I'll probably end up regretting it since, I have Travis Etienne ranked higher than all these guys that are left. But I'm going to take a gamble here, and I'm going to go with David Montgomery. I think in PPR formats, he's got a little bit more upside than James Conner, who I think could see some touchdown regression. Both guys have some question marks. With Conner, it's the touchdown regression. With Montgomery, it's a poor offense with the Chicago Bears. But again, I think he's got a higher floor because of what he can do as a pass catcher. And then this is where the real test comes is Travis Etienne going to be available for us in the 4th round? If not, live and learn. But it is what it is. Like I said before, if this was the real deal, I would have been more tempted to go with him in the 3rd round. But instead, we went with David Montgomery. Then you see guys like Tyreek, Keenan Allen, Cam Akers, Josh Allen, Mike Evans, great value there, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne goes with the 2nd to last pick in the 3rd round. I've said before his ADP will rise. I thought maybe we could get him at the end of the 4th round, but that was not the case. Then you see Deontay Johnson, Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, Kyle Pitts, Patrick Mahomes, DJ Moore, Antonio Gibson, Breece Hall, George Kittle, and some wide receivers. I don't know how DeAndre Hopkins went before a Marquise Brown, but that's somebody else's problem to figure out. I've said that so many times before that it shouldn't be the case. So now we've got some, decisions to make. We're going to go with one more running back, and then the draft really starts. Obviously, here right now, I'd be going with, wide receiver heavy more than likely, maybe even considering a Darren Waller. But first, we're going to go probably with Elijah Mitchell. He doesn't have as huge of an injury concern as J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards also being there in Baltimore and having Lamar Jackson as well, even though Trey Lance could potentially start for the majority of the season, even though that's not official. So I'm going to go with Elijah Mitchell here. I think he has some higher upside than a J.K. Dobbins. And let's quickly show you our roster. So we've gotten 4 running backs in the first 4 rounds. We're kicking off the 0 wide receiver strategy as it should be, but now we need to go wide receiver heavy, and we need to go wide receiver heavy big time. So looking at all these guys, Terry McLaurin, I'm hoping that maybe Allen Robinson drops to us in the next round. At this point, it's all kind of hoping that there's some depth in the later rounds and that people pass up these players. I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin and try and get greedy again. It might not pay off. I have Allen Robinson ranked higher, but again, I'm just taking shots here. I'm taking shots, and if I get Terry McLaurin and then Allen Robinson, that's the plan. And by the look of it, it doesn't happen. So, man, this thing really ain't going our way, but it's part of the exercise because I think it really kind of again, shows what you're made out of and how you can, make your way through these tough situations. So yeah, man, Allen Robinson only went like 4 picks before us, so it wasn't the worst gamble in the world. I don't know where Robert Woods was going in the 6th round. That makes no sense. Mike Williams, Marquise Brown, both off the board. That's unfortunate. So is Darnell Mooney, but I've already got David Montgomery. So here I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman. He's going to be one of our picks. He's a guy that I think without Marquise Brown has some really nice upside. So you're going to see this a lot, going with guys that have some really high upside. Let's see what's left at tight end. Yeah, the top guys are gone. So we'll go Rashad Bateman first. And then, honestly, I'll probably go Juju Smith-Schuster. Now with him being in Kansas City, the number 1 guy there. Obviously, Travis Kelce is still the number 1 pass catcher, but the number 1 wide receiver. So let's go with Juju Smith, getting our 3rd wide receiver. And then here in this next round, we might go tight end. Maybe we can consider quarterback. But I think probably, since the majority of teams probably have already selected a quarterback, we don't really have to worry. And when I look at it, yes, everybody but us has a quarterback. There's been, a run on some handcuffs here in the 8th round. We haven't done that. We don't have the luxury to do that. That's kind of the tough thing about these set strategies. I always say it. Ideally, in snake drafts, you go with the best guy available. It's those auction drafts that you want to go with a set strategy in. That's where those 2 draft types are really, really different. So here, I think I'd probably go one more wide receiver and then go with probably a tight end. Yeah, I think I might go that way. So here, who do we have ranked highest? For me, it's Allen Lazard. And then I'll probably go with Zach Ertz as my next guy. I like the upside of Lazard and what he could potentially do without Devontae Adams. It's as simple as that. And then here at tight end, I mentioned before, I'm going to go with Zach Ertz. Cole Kmet is somebody that's intriguing, but I have already got, like I said before, David Montgomery. So I don't want to load up on too many Chicago Bears unless I have to. But now, again, let's go back to the wide receiver position. If anything crazy is left at running back, we've kind of gotten to the point where we can just go best player available now. We went after 4 running backs straight. We went 1, 2, 4 wide receivers straight. So basically kind of counteracting that and making up for it. Now a tight end, yeah, Kolkmet is gone. That's unfortunate. He would have been a guy that I wouldn't have mind taking a chance on. Quarterback, I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford here. I think he's a safe bet. So let's go with Stafford as one of our picks. And then wide receiver, or let's just look at the cheat sheet here and see who kind of stands out in terms of names. The guy that I think is kind of tempting here from the wide receiver situation is maybe a Tim Patrick from the Denver Broncos. But I think we can get him around later. I might honestly go with a second quarterback or, a flyer at the running back position. So I'll actually know. You know what? I might go with Khalil Herbert as a handcuff to David Montgomery. That's intriguing because, in terms of handcuffs, he's our best bet at this point in time. And these other guys are kind of flyers either way. So let's do that. Recently made a video on, top handcuffs. And I think Khalil Herbert is a guy that would qualify. We could probably get him around later, but it's okay. We're just going to pick him up now. We are the David Montgomery owner. So why not, I guess, is the moral of the story. And then we're going to make one last selection here. Let's see what's left at quarterback. I love Derek Carr this year. I might just go with a second quarterback here. So, I don't anticipate, I was going to say that we get a high draft grade, but as soon as I say that, we get an A-, which I think is ludicrous. I love the quarterback situation with Matthew Stafford and Derek Carr. Running back was way too excessive. Okay, McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette, you can make an argument that those should have been the first 2 picks, but then afterwards, going with Montgomery and Elijah Mitchell, that's too much. Should have been going with some wide receivers like Keenan Allen or Mike Evans. I guess we rebounded okay with McLaurin, but there are question marks with guys like Rashad Bateman, Juju Smith-Schuster. We took a flyer on Alan Lazard. We did get a handcuff from Khalil Herbert, so I don't mind it. But this draft grade would definitely be lower. I'm thinking like B-, C+. And I think, honestly, that's kind of the range you're going to be looking at when you go with these draft strategies. You're handcuffing yourself a little bit. Best case scenarios, I think you're probably looking at like a B type of roster. But hey, maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you guys love this roster. As always, let me hear it in the comment section, along with any questions you guys might have there. I'll do my best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. And again, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide, now available for purchase. Details in the description. In the meantime, we'll see you guys for future videos.